All right, let's dive right into one of the most celebrated comics ever. We're going to break down just how Neil Gaiman took a dusty old piece of folklore and managed to spin it into this sprawling modern mythology that's still captivating us today. When The Sandman first came out, it completely shattered expectations. I mean, the writer, Norman Mailer, he called it a comic strip for intellectuals. And he was absolutely right. This wasn't just another superhero book, not by a long shot. It was a true cultural phenomenon, something that totally blurred the lines between, a comic book and what we'd call a high art. So the big question is, what did Gaiman do that was so revolutionary? To really get to the heart of it, we have to start peeling back the layers. And there are a lot of layers. We're talking ancient myth, European folklore, and some pretty deep psychology that he just masterfully wove together. Okay, so let's start with the name itself, the Sandman. Because before Neil Gaiman got his hands on it, the Sandman wasn't one single character, not at all. He was this figure from European folklore who had two, let's just say, very different sides to his personality. So you've got this fascinating split right from the get-go. On one side, he's the gentle guy who gives you sweet dreams. On the other, he's a literal monster who steals your eyes. That's the key takeaway here. This incredible duality, this mix of creation and pure terror, is exactly what Gaiman would later grab onto and explore in just incredible depth. But Gaiman didn't just stick with folklore. No, he went even deeper, all the way back to the roots of Western storytelling. We're talking classical mythology. He named his hero Morpheus, who, as you can see, was the ancient Greek god of dreams. And by doing that, he instantly gave his character this weight, this sense of timelessness and ancient authority. Okay, so this is where Gaiman's genius really starts to shine. He takes this mythological figure and completely reinvents him. His Morpheus isn't some god hanging out on Mount Olympus. No, he's something way more fundamental, something woven into the very fabric of the universe. He imagined Dream, or Morpheus, as one of 7 siblings, and they're known as the Endless. Now here's the cool part. They're not gods. They don't need worship. They are literally the personifications of universal forces. Think about it. They exist because we exist. As long as there's life anywhere that can dream or feel despair or desire something, they'll be there. So, what are the Endless really? This question is what takes The Sandman from being just a cool fantasy story and elevates it into something much, much deeper, a truly profound exploration of the human mind. And to really wrap our heads around what Gaiman was doing with the Endless, we need to bring in a little psychology, specifically a key idea from the famous psychoanalyst Carl Jung. So Jung had this idea of the collective unconscious. Think of it like a shared psychic hard drive for all of humanity. It's filled with these primal patterns or archetypes that we all inherit. These are the models for characters and situations that pop up in myths and stories all over the world, in every culture. And that right there is exactly what the Endless are. They're Jungian archetypes brought to life. Take our hero, Morpheus, Dream. With his whole dark, gothic vibe, he's the living embodiment of that dream world. He's the archetype for our entire inner life, that huge, unconscious space filled with stories and imagination, where, according to Jung, we're all connected. And this is where you really see Gaiman's genius at play. He takes the archetype of death. And what do we expect? A scary, skeletal Grim Reaper, right? But no, Gaiman gives us this kind, upbeat, compassionate goth girl. She's not about a terrifying end. She's about a gentle transition. He completely flips the archetype on its head to show us a deeper truth, that death is a natural, constant, and maybe even a comforting part of life itself. Then you've got Destiny. He is the classic wise old man archetype, down to a T. Blind, but he sees everything. He's literally chained to this massive book that contains, well, all of creation. Everything that ever was, is, or will be. He is fate personified, inevitable, ancient, and totally unchangeable. And you can't talk about the Endless without talking about the twins, desire and despair. Desire is everything you've ever wanted, all rolled into one beautiful, cruel, androgynous being. And despair? Despair is its shadow. It's that raw, crushing agony you feel when everything falls apart. Together, they are that primal push and pull of human ambition and the devastating loss that can follow. So when you put all these pieces together, what do you get? It becomes clear that Gaiman didn't just write a comic book. In a way, he reverse-engineered an entire mythology for the modern world. I mean, just look at the recipe he used. He starts with a familiar figure from folklore. Then he deepens it with a dose of classical mythology. Then he explodes that idea into a whole family of universal forces. And finally, he grounds the entire thing in a really profound psychological theory. It is, without a doubt, a masterclass on how to build a myth from the ground up. Ultimately, what Gaiman created wasn't just a story. It's a story about stories. He's showing us that these big concepts, destiny, death, desire, dreams, they aren't just abstract ideas. They are the eternal characters playing their parts in the never-ending story of what it means to be human. And that leaves us with a really fascinating thought, doesn't it? Gaiman built this incredible, modern myth by looking to the past. So it makes you wonder, what are the myths we're creating right now, today? And looking forward, how will future generations personify the big forces, the archetypes that shape their lives?